Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be giving some tips on how to improve your thread paintings, but in particular while stitching fur. This is one of the pet portraits I'll be working on, and the first thing I want to do is make sure my composition looks good, and then try to take in about how many very distinct color changes I see right off the bat. This is going to help me choose my colors and give me an idea of how many different shades I'm going to need while stitching this portrait. Now, as you can see, this cat looks pretty darn orange, and because of that, it can be really tempting to pick out shades of orange and yellow like this. However, they're really bright, and when you go to actually stitch, you're probably going to notice your thread painting doesn't look lifelike, it just looks kind of neon. That's because while all these colors together look really orange, in nature, it's really unlikely to see fur with this type of saturation. More often than not, when I stitch orange cats, I'm actually going to be using various shades of brown and tan that have a warm undertone, or in some cases, a cool undertone. You want to make sure you figure out what type of undertone the fur is and keep your floss choices consistent with that undertone. If it's warm, make sure all your colors have that same warm undertone because you don't want to mix and match. That will make your pieces look kind of off. You probably won't figure out why for a little bit, and you'll have to tear out a lot of work. Now, it can also be really helpful when you go to pick out your colors to really isolate how many large color shifts you have within various sections of the piece that you're working on. Generally, I would recommend finding like a very dark shade, a very light shade, mid-tones, and pick more than you will actually need. Just get a bunch that you think will work and then hold them up together and see what'll look good. See, like this one, it's not the same undertone. The 01 is a lot cooler than 3033. So I need to pick something else. I need to pick something that has that warmer undertone. So this can be a much better choice. It's going to look more realistic. And if that's what you're looking for in your pet portraits, that's what I would kind of do. As you can see, the one on the bottom was like a little bit too pink. And these I think look really good. They seem like they're all within the same color pathway. They don't look like they have any weird undertones. Like it seems like it will all match. And that's what I'm going to choose for this portrait. So now that I have a bunch of colors picked out, I want to really isolate how many of the large color shifts I have within a various section of the piece that I'm going to be working on. So for this instance, I'm looking at this paw and I can see 3 right off the bat. I've already been working on this piece. So here's a little bit of what I have so far. As you can see, I have this section consisting of a pretty dark area, medium dark, light, very light, and highlight. So I want to pick my floss colors from that pool that I've already chosen for this entire section before I start working, and then I go into my pattern and try to mark where these color shifts are actually happening. So here's my very dark value. I think that's, yep, what I will use around this part of the paw, around the ear. All of that is the darkest looking spots of the pattern, so that's where I'm going to put that. Next, I need to get another lighter value that I can mess with and blend with. So here's like 3. They all look like they're in the same color grouping. There's a nice mid-tone. And I like to keep them a little bit in order if I can, just so I can see the grand scope of things. I think I need one more here. And choose this one. So I have my dark, mid-tone, light, highlight. And this is what I've been working on with this portrait, and I'm really happy with the results so far. So when I'm going to go work on this paw, I'm actually going to outline the section of where this color shift is happening. This makes it a lot easier when I go to stitch because I can refer back to this paper pattern as I work and make sure I'm stitching the right values in the right spots. Essentially, I'm creating a little cheat sheet for myself that I can go back and refer to if I get lost within my own pattern, which actually can be very easy to do when you start stitching complicated things. I will also sometimes mark the direction that I plan to make my stitches. Embroidery is really unique in that changing the direction with which you stitch is going to alter how light hits your piece. So even though you may be using the same shade, if you change the direction of your stitching, it can actually look like a different value. When we look at this paw, I see along the outer edge I use the exact same shade as in the part of the arm body section. Those stitches are kind of going on a diagonal while the paw is kind of coming towards me. And that is creating a clear distinction between the two sections. And I was able to do that without having to break out another shade. Now, this can be really especially useful when stitching gray cast because it is really difficult to find enough shades of gray. A lot of the time, you may need a mid value that does not exist. So you need to blend multiple colors to get the right value. And that could mean that you need multiple passes over the same section of blending with different shades of gray. So if you can use the direction of stitching to your benefit, it's going to help you out a lot, especially in an instance where you might need a color that just isn't there. So if the color is not there, what can you do? You can just change the direction of your stitches. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope these tips will be helpful to you. Here's that work finished, and I hope to see you all again soon. Happy stitching. Thank you.